Welcome, football fans. Are you ready for some football? Because it's time for the 2023-2024 picks and predictions for week 222 of the NFL. Picks and predictions, let's jump right in. But before we get into our actual week 2 predictions, why don't we recap and talk a little bit about how we did in week 1. As you guys can tell from up above me, we did all right. All right, better than quite a few in my particular pool. The winner had 12 wins. You see us sitting up here with a pretty 9. Didn't quite make that double digits, which, as we talked about at the beginning and we'll constantly mention, you basically need to average double digits for all originally 17 weeks, now 18 weeks, of course, 18 weeks of football to really have a shot to be in the running, right? You need to average about 10 points a week. Now, we have 9 points, not too bad, and other than a certain Monday night game throwing a wrench into that particular mix, I would have sat there with a pretty 10, but wasn't even close to winning the week. Now, let's just run down a few of the things that were surprising, because we did have some upsets, of course. KC, opening night, Thursday Night Football. Many people got this one wrong. So many people got this one wrong. I think in my particular pool, only 4 out of the 50-odd people, I think we have 57. So 4 people picked Detroit on a Hail Mary attempt, and lo and behold, it happened. So, once again, that one didn't really make or break the bank, right? Jumping into the other games, of course, our Carolina pick did not work out. Cincinnati losing. Wow, I mean, that is honestly, that's the big one for me. I think that's my big one. Of course, Monday night, and we'll get to that, was a difference between 9 wins and 10 wins, hitting that double digit, that pretty sweet spot. But not picking Cleveland. I told you guys about that. I got a soft spot for the Cleveland Browns, and if it was anybody else, I probably would have picked them in the opening week. And Cincinnati, Cleveland strutted their stuff, only holding Cincinnati to 1 field goal. Really good on the Cleveland Browns, so I am upset. I didn't have faith to pick them as one of my upsets last week. Jacksonville won their game. Tampa Bay beat the Minnesota Vikings. Very odd, that one, but it was still a close game. My other upset pick was another close one, only by 1 point. New Orleans barely scratched out a win against the Titans. San Francisco obviously dominated in their particular. Baltimore destroying Houston. Washington beat Arizona, not handily, but still beat them all the same. Then Green Bay, of course, beating the Bears. I was not surprised by that at all. A lot of people actually picked the Bears for some reason. Aaron Rodgers leaving the team seems to have left a bitter taste in a lot of non-Packers and Packer fan alike mouths. But I had faith that Green Bay is still a strong team, and Chicago is not. So very easy pick there. Vegas barely scratched out the win against Denver. I'm glad I went with that particular one. As I said, most of these picks, some of my upsets were really close, so I wasn't that upset that I picked them. And once again, week 1 is kind of weird. Philadelphia obviously beat New England, though New England did show up to the game. Got to give them credit there. Miami, even though the game score was pretty close, Miami clearly had the control of the Chargers game there. So there is definitely that. Seattle losing to the Rams. That was one of my big picks that a lot of people did not choose. Nobody had faith in the Rams. I had faith in the Los Angeles Rams, and it paid off. Of course, how about them Cowboys? 40-0. 40-0. We dominated, destroyed the New York Giants. Dallas Cowboys, let's go. The biggest contender this week or last week. And then the major upset, another Thursday night opener and Monday night closer, the 2 biggest upsets. Because even if the favorite didn't win, the games were really close throughout all of Sunday, I would argue, for the most part. Then Buffalo and the Jets and the whole Aaron Rodgers thing and stuff. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say scripted, and it's hard not to understand why a little bit. After coming off the field last night, New York stands. Whether you're a fan of the Jets or the Giants, a lot of New Yorkers are just, how about our city, right? So the fact of the matter is that they came off not scoring a single point against the Dallas Cowboys Sunday Night Football. They show up for Monday night. What happens? The new Aaron Rodgers, the Jets, they're going to do something good this year with an all-star quarterback, and does he not get hurt within the first couple minutes of the game? Then, boom, what happens there? You're thinking, oh, Aaron Rodgers is probably done for this season, dashing the hopes of all New Yorkers everywhere. Whether you're a Giants or a Jets fan, nobody in New York was having a good day. And then what happens? Somehow, miracle after miracle, bad choice after bad play, and boom, the Jets beat the Buffalo Bills. Granted, you could make a great argument that the Bills were shooting themselves in the foot pretty handily, but the Jets turned up the heat. They did not let the Aaron Rodgers, the morale of the crowd affect their focus on the field, and the Bills went in there and looked sloppy. So, big upset right there, and boom, the Jets win. So, kudos, honestly, to the Jets, regardless whether you believe the conspiracy of scripted games or not. Sometimes I gotta admit I'm a little hesitant to not agree once in a while across many different major sports, but either way, good on the Jets for not allowing. I mean, most teams would be destroyed right then and there. The whole season gone. They finally have a shot, an elite star quarterback that the Jets haven't seen in decades, and for all that to happen right then and there, like, wow, like what a turnaround that game was. It was, honestly, if not for the Dallas Cowboys, being a Dallas Cowboys fan and watching them absolutely dominate Sunday Night Football, I would argue that was the most exciting game for me personally, was the Monday night game. Now, with all that being said, we have our 9-7 wins, as I said. The only two choices that I'm really upset about would be the only reason I'm really upset that the Jets won was because, obviously, I didn't pick them because I had more faith in the Bills than Aaron Rodgers. Clearly that was a mistake. And it shot me out of 10 wins. But realistically, the only one game that I'm like, should have picked them was the Cleveland Browns. Should have had more faith in the Browns. That being said, let's jump into our week 2 predictions and get underway with it. So, Thursday Night Football happening tonight. Easy pick for me. Easy pick. Alright? Because Minnesota lost last week, right? Did the Eagles look great? No. But did they win? Yes. Did Minnesota look great? No. Did they lose? Yes. Pretty easy pickings for me to go with the Eagles. The Eagles are probably the strongest team in the NFC, even though everyone's sort of still shaking that rust off a little bit. We saw a lot of that on Sunday, but I still got better faith in the Eagles than I do in Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. I just really do. Vikings are going to have to prove to me that they can show up to this game, be a contender, keep the Eagles in a, possession game sort of idea. Like, don't make it a blowout before I start picking the Vikings with some confidence after week one's not such a stellar performance, was it? And against, honestly, not that great a team either way. Their opponent wasn't exactly top tier. So then we jump into the Sunday games where I have Green Bay picked over Atlanta. Obvious reasons there. Green Bay, a lot of people thought the moment Aaron Rodgers left, Green Bay was going to go from an alright, above average team to boom, down in the basement. They proved everybody wrong last week. I think they're going to prove everyone wrong again this week. Granted, their opponents, Chicago and Atlanta, aren't anybody to write really home about. That being said, still got better faith in Green Bay than I do in the Falcons. Then we jump over. This is the test. Can Buffalo learn from its sloppy performance and its mistakes? I picked the Raiders last week, and they managed to squeak out a win. Not too shabby, but Buffalo is still one of the strongest teams on paper in the AFC. They looked great last year. They should be great this year. Once again, we got to get rid of the week one jitters, and we can't just base all our picks for the next 2 or 3 weeks based on one bad showing at the opener of week one. So I'm still giving it to the Bills in Buffalo. Obvious pick there. This one's fun. This next one's actually pretty fun because I'm going with the Ravens. I thought about the Bengals. I thought my 3 points at home, I'm going to give it to Cincinnati because for those of you who don't know, a lot of football fans stick by the rule that if you can't decide, if you think it's 50-50, you give a field goal at home. You give home field advantage, you give them 3 points. A field goal's worth. So if you think the game's going to be close, that's usually how a lot of fans think they're tiebreakers. Many don't, many do. I've heard it both sides of that camp. I follow that rule, but I'm going against it because Cleveland is not a bad team. Cleveland is still, I I'm not saying that Cincinnati is not going to show up to this game either. Once again, we got to forget week 1 for a second. But Baltimore showed up. Baltimore did, at least they were able to score. All right? Cleveland Browns may or may not be a good team. They might even be a great team. But do they have the greatest defense in the NFL? Absolutely not. Not on paper and not on the field. That much is obvious. The fact that they could hold Cincinnati to only 1 field goal and they couldn't do anything else, I'm sorry. If that's the case, I can't see why Baltimore can't stop them and do the same. Regardless how many points Baltimore puts on the board, I don't think that, there's no reason they can't stop Cincinnati. Granted, they could learn from their mistakes. Still think it'll be an exciting game, but I'm going with the Ravens for my first upset, technically. This is going to be my big upset, though. Okay, now let's talk this next game, because you guys can already see you're going to find this one funny, because why would I go against Detroit at home, who just beat the former Super Bowl champions? The Super Bowl champions of last year, Detroit defeated them. They looked better than Kansas City even on that Thursday night. And Seattle lost to Rams without Cup, one of their big all-stars. Why would I pick the Seahawks? Well, for one thing, this was a game I really wanted to read up on. And the reason it wasn't just a split, yeah, I'm going with Detroit. It's at home. Can't really make up my mind. And plus, they beat Kansas City. Boom. This is why we can't just look on paper. This is why you gotta watch the games. Because realistically, did Detroit win that game? Yes. Did they look good on the field? Yes. Did they look great on the field? Did they destroy a fully strengthened, good-looking Kansas City? No, they did not. Did they destroy a weakened, injury list Kansas City with a Patrick Mahomes still finding his groove here in week 1? Yes. And did they win handily by 3 possessions? No. Detroit might have looked the better team starting in week 1, but that doesn't mean they looked like an all-star team either. The fact of the matter is, if they were so good and Kansas City was so bad, they should have won much more handily, and Kansas City stayed in that game right up until the very end. So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to say, you know what? Detroit's a good team, but they got to still prove that they're a great team. And Seattle is probably hungry after losing. Plus, looking into it a little bit, doing a little bit of research, Pete Carroll apparently is one of the coaches with the best record of coming back after a loss. Has one of the best records to make a comeback the following week, apparently. So, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's what I read, and you know what? Pete Carroll's been around a long time, and I really think he's going to make those right adjustments. So, I got Seattle for a very bit of a Hail Mary underdog pick, but I'm picking them, right? Then we jump into Chargers against Tennessee. This one is tough, and it may still change, because the Chargers put up quite a few points. Tennessee did not. And neither of these games went exactly in my favor. At the very least, the Tennessee game did not go in my favor, picking them last week. But I'm going to give it the 3 points at home, and I'm going to say Tennessee for another underdog pick. It's a hard pick. It may change. I'm going to really pay attention to this one. I'm going to do a little more research, check the injury list, really look at, because unfortunately I missed the Chargers game, so I didn't actually see on the field. And this is what I was talking about. Looking on paper versus actually watching the team in action gives you a different perspective. And since I missed this game because I was busy, and I was watching other games and stuff like that, I really want to go back, see how the Chargers and Tennessee were both looking versus each other before making a true decision. But for right now, I'm giving it the 3 points to Tennessee at home, and I'll stick with an upset pick for now. Then, some more obvious picks. Kansas City might have lost once again to the Detroit Lions in opening week, but I still got faith in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. We're going with the Chiefs up against Jacksonville, even Jacksonville at home. A lot of people put a little too much credit into Jacksonville Jaguars, honestly, just because they're not bottom of the barrel anymore, and because they're actually able to win some games. People seem to think they're some kind of juggernaut or giant. They got to do a little bit more to impress me. And Tampa Bay, They managed to win out last week. The Bears did not. Going with Tampa Bay at home. Why not? Then we jump into another hard one to pick. But I did the 3-point rule here. Not too much to discuss, really. Colts are a bad team. Texans are a bad team. Difference is Texans at home. Give them the 3 points. You know, if this game is 3-0, I won't be surprised. Will anybody? And then we jump to San Francisco versus the Rams. Initially picked the Rams. I will say that. I initially said Rams, they beat the Seahawks. Now let's go forth and beat San Francisco. All right, let's table our expectations a little bit. Let's take that hype train and let's look at it a little more realistically. Had the Rams picked on Wednesday. Now today I switched over to the 49ers. A pick that may or may not change, but I think this one's more locked in, especially more so than the other picks. This one's pretty obvious that I was just feeding into the hype. The Rams won. Rams can do it again. Rams are still a contender, but yeah. I'm going with the 49ers. I really do have to go with the 49ers. Can't pick all upsets. Can't just keep throwing Hail Marys and seeing what sticks, right? I'm already going with, right now, Seattle and Tennessee and Houston, which a lot of people would argue Colts are better in every way than Houston, even if they're two bottom barrel teams. You know, a lot of people probably still picking Indy over that one. So I can't keep throwing the Hail Marys. I really got to pick a few favorites now and again. So San Francisco for that one. The rest of the list is pretty straightforward, as we can see. The Giants, yes, did they score 0 points? 100%. But against, once again, will people listen to Cowboys fans when they talk? Not all Cowboys fans are, well, like Patriots fans. Not all of us are these, you know, guys that just don't know anything about football, who just look at everything through a Dallas Cowboy, a Dak Prescott, a Jerry Jones visor, and just Cowboys, 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 like nothing else matters. No. Cowboys are that team. Cowboys are up here in the top 5. If you, for some reason, do not believe that the Dallas Cowboys are a top 5 Super Bowl contender team for the last couple of years, I don't know what type of football you're watching. They're in that conversation. They are. Maybe you're sick of hearing about it from Cowboys fans or something. I don't know what it is. You know, in the same way I was sick from hearing from Patriots fans for 20 years. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you're just sick of the conversation. But realistically, if you look at it, Cowboys are up there. So having the Giants lose to a far stronger team is not really that surprising, especially once they grab the morale of the field, the crowd, everything like that. I got the Giants over Arizona because Arizona is, once again, they're sitting down there with Houston and Indy. I would pick the Texans to beat Arizona. I would pick just about every team to beat the Cardinals. So, and I did. I picked last week. And lo and behold, the Cardinals lost. So I got the Giants picked up against Arizona. Cowboys are still, once again, a lot of people thinking the Aaron Rodgers, you know, syndrome, the nightmare that is Aaron Rodgers always hanging over the Dallas Cowboys, was going to still be brought in. He's still wearing green in one team or another and one city or another, and he was going to come in and attack our Cowboys, but he's out for the year, which is unfortunate. As a sports fan, whether you like the guy or not, which once again, as a Cowboys fan, never really liked him that much, and for other reasons, you know, some people really don't like him, me included, but you never wish a guy to get hurt, especially when he's an elite quarterback and stuff. You still want him to be able to play. I don't think anybody wishes harm on these people. So, unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to test our mettle up against Aaron Rodgers, but a New York Jets that beat the Buffalo Bills, who didn't allow the downing of their all-star quarterback to get them down and still win a game Monday night. I still think it's going to be a good game, but I got the Cowboys picked, no questions there. Broncos against Washington. A little iffy, but I gave it to Denver because they're at home. Quite literally, and Washington is not that great a team. I picked them last week because they're up against the Cardinals, but I really have to go with the Broncos on this one. I think they got this by at least a possession. Miami is going to beat New England, even in New England. Miami is probably the strongest team. If it weren't for the Buffalo Bills, Miami's probably the strongest team in their division, and right now they probably are the best team in their division looking at how the Bills performed last week. But once again, week 1 is odd, so we're still going to table that conversation for until we get deeper into the season. New Orleans up against Carolina. I picked Carolina last week, and I'm sorry, boys. Maybe if you had shown me better. This pick could still change, though, because the Saints barely squeaked out a win regardless, and, I picked against them last week, so This one, I went with New Orleans because they're favorited, but I think I'm going to look into this one a little bit more. Once again, got to lock in these games before Thursday night game starts, of course. But if anything changes, once again, you'll hear about it in the following video. So as you guys can tell, I've already talked about a few games that I may or may not change. And then Cleveland against Pittsburgh, 100% going with the Browns. Not going to make that mistake 2 weeks in a row. Picking the Cleveland Browns. One of my favorite AFC teams. So yeah, Cleveland Browns for Monday Night Football. Which, of course, New Orleans is also playing. Monday night afternoon game by the looks of that. That's odd. But anyways, so those are all the picks. And as I said, a few of these picks I'm a little hesitant about fully locking in. We'll see if I make any changes on Sunday. I'm a big believer in not changing picks. Or if I do, I change them literally within that day or that hour. I very rarely change my picks because after playing, you know, sports leagues like this and doing this type of picks and predictions for years now, many seasons, I've learned I'm almost always get burned when I change my picks. I very rarely is it a good decision. It's certainly never won me any money or changed the scope of a week or anything like that in any major way when I've done it. So, generally speaking, I stick with what I know, unless major injuries, things like that occur. So we're going to lock these in for right now. What you see on the screen, this is what we're going to currently do. What were the games that I said that I might be changing? I think Chargers Tennessee is one I'm still sort of flipping a little bit back and forth. I'm pretty much locked into the San Francisco pick. I played around with the Rams pick earlier, as I said, but I think I got San Francisco pick there. Giants is, yeah, they're locked in. Dallas. New Orleans, Carolina is the other one. I might be switching that. If anything, honestly, yeah. The Carolina pick is the one I would most likely change. The Carolina pick or the Tennessee pick. We'll have to go with those two. Those two games may flip-flop between Friday, Saturday, that kind of idea. But those are probably the only ones that I would even consider honestly changing because, yeah, I don't know. Once again, I missed quite a few of the games, unfortunately, week 1. So I wasn't able to watch everybody play. And I don't like picking teams where I don't know, unless somebody's like, yep, it's an easy W and that kind of idea. I don't like picking these. It's a pretty good matchup, and if I haven't seen either team play, and I'm like, well, I got a feeling about this or that, you know. So, yeah, those are probably the only two that I'm going to change, if any. So, long ass video, of course, because now this year we're going to recap week 1 as we've done here just now, and then we're going to jump into week 2 and really try to double down on the reasoning as to why we're picking certain teams. So anyways, that's it from me, guys. Hope you guys enjoy some football this week, and Thursday night, let's go. I can't believe I'm saying this, but let's go Eagles. I can't really say it. As a Cowboys fan, it hurts too much. But you guys know I picked the Eagles, so let's see what you guys picked. Did you pick the same as me or not? Once again, we're getting a major tropical storm / hurricane coming up my way into Sunday morning, of course. So maybe I won't be able to, unfortunately, even though I get to stay home this weekend, I might not get able to catch any of the games at all, depending on whether the power's out or something like that. We've got our fingers crossed here that that doesn't happen and I get to watch some football. But, you know, I really hope I will be able to, because if you don't, once again, looking on paper, actually watching the game, it changes your perspective on who you pick each week. So, but anyways, those are my picks. As you can see, I think over here. Yeah, over here. What did you guys pick? Let's hope to hit those double digits at least. Let's go. Let's try to make up for the next week, or for this week, and get a solid 11 wins. We're hoping to hit 11 with this particular set of picks, and that way we'll be back on track for an average of double digits each week. So, get fingers crossed, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys back here next time. Like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for week number 3 of the NFL. Looking forward to it. You guys are too. See you back here next time. Bye.